Remember, everybody, ad fatigue is 100% nonsense. For 99.99% of advertisers, ad fatigue is a complete lie. And it's not that people are trying to lie to you. It's that experts and gurus and agencies who swear by it fundamentally misunderstand what's going on. And instead of actually taking insightful action based on what's occurring in the ad account, it's much easier to blame the red hairy boogeyman of ad fatigue. But we're going to dive in and completely debunk every last little bit of that so that we can make sure that you've got one less excuse to really get in the way of the success that you deserve. Because remember, ad fatigue is 100% complete bull. All right, let's go. Now, first, let me give a little bit of context because I've actually seen ad fatigue. Remember I said 99.99% of people. That means it can happen. And no, that's not you. When I saw ad fatigue, I was legitimately spending $1 million a day. It took me a week to legitimately reach a high enough volume of impressions to have the platform tell me that it was seeing ad fatigue issues. Now, I'm not saying that Facebook showed me ad fatigue because there is a warning on that, which again, nonsense. It's generally more of an audience and a business issue way more than it is ad fatigue. At that 1 million a day, it took me a week to reach 85% of people in America over 3.5 times. Then I hit ad fatigue. Most often, the issues that people say is ad fatigue has way more to do with a fundamental misunderstanding of Facebook, a mismanagement of the assets that we actually invest in, and then ultimately a few factors which we're about to dive into on how you're operating the account. Now, it's true that the target audience might see that ad too many times, and we're starting to run out of the effectiveness of that message. But there's a lot more at play here than just to say, well, my one ad is completely useless. The fix to that problem is eliminating those scenarios from being able to occur. It's not abuse something so much that it stops working and then blame the victim of abuse for its inability to perform. No, you wouldn't do that anywhere in life. So let's not do it in Facebook. Now, the biggest offender when it comes to ad fatigue is real. Is people who make the tragically misled mistake of thinking that what they should do is optimize their account by forcing more spend on their top performing ads. Now I get it. Why not spend more money on what's working? Here's why. It's working because of the investment it has to make. It's working because of the work that it's doing. If you can make a really high quality product and you can make 3 a day, and you work in a factory with 10 other people that are all doing pretty well, but you make the best, is it realistic to expect your boss to fire everybody else at the factory and now you have to make 30 things a day? Do you think the quality of that performance is going to stay? The bid is calculated inside of Facebook by factoring spend and estimated action rate with your advertiser score. So when your bid becomes undesirable, when how much you have to pay to get a sale from an ad becomes unbearable, it generally has way more to do with the amount of work you're asking that ad to do, not with the fact that that ad is completely useless moving forward, because that is 100% nonsense. When you spend more money on an ad that is performing well, using simple math, that ad will perform less efficiently. Again, citing the equation of bid equals estimated action rate and advertiser score and budget. Well, that ad's not going to improve your estimated action rate. That ad's not going to improve your advertiser score. So when you get an efficiency and then you just spike the budget, how are you not going to get worse performance? And now we really have to understand Well, maybe the reason that we're seeing ad fatigue has to do way more with the fact that that one ad is being forced to show itself to users who aren't receptive in the same way as users were when the budget was a lot lower. It's not ad fatigue. It's that you're forcing somebody to do a job they're not good at a higher and higher volume. The second biggest reason for ad fatigue, again, criminally too common, and I see it in ad accounts run by experts and gurus and agencies all the time. Because believe me, my inbox is full of people struggling because they follow the advice of these folks that honestly don't know anything about how Facebook ads works, which is 89% of people that claim to be any good at it. The other issue that they're facing is they're scaling unproven assets. So many times you see people having a testing campaign and then a scaling campaign. I was just in an ad account where an expert was running 30 ads in their testing campaign, took out the 2 or 3 best ones after a week or so, put it in a scaling campaign, and then claimed ad fatigue after 2 weeks. That ad that got 5 sales in the testing campaign can't possibly at all be trusted to be a scaling effort. It's an unproven asset. Let me know when the thing gets 100 conversions and then drops off. It's not going to happen nearly at the same rate. The problem with the very horribly common option of a test campaign and a scale campaign, which again goes against the scientific method, goes against what Facebook's been recommending, goes against all logic and reason as soon as you get your head out of what you're supposed to do and actually logically follow through the process. One of the biggest issues that you're saying, if an ad gets lucky in the first few days, then I should trust my entire business with it. And when it breaks, we blame ad fatigue, even though we never had any real valid reason to have confidence or had any ability to project the outcome of that ad in any meaningful way to begin with. You're basically saying if I hire an employee and by day 5, they did better than all of the other people that had no training, I'm going to hand them the keys to the city. And when it fails, I'm going to blame the city. No, it's your fault. If you are investing heavily in unproven assets, don't be surprised when they fail. Now, the third thing that causes ad fatigue, which again, complete nonsense. And again, super popular, especially among experts who claim to know what they're talking about. And believe me, if anybody goes down this path, it is because of a fundamental and internal misunderstanding of how Facebook operates at any intellectual way. They're trying audiences, lookalikes and interest groups and all of that stuff. Or they're trying 4 or 5 different testing campaigns at $20 a day or something like that. That is the antithesis of anything of value, because you're not getting any confidence in the data. Data confusion, when you spend your money in far too many places, on too many audiences, on too many offers with the same conversion objective, basically says, I'm giving every single impression the same value for every single product and every single audience. And I'm now, instead of doing one thing really well, I'm failing at doing 20 things. And clearly the reason that my ad that worked when I was failing to do 20 things stops after a week or 2 or a month or 2 is not in my process. It's the ad's fault. No, take responsibility. The reason that ad failed is because you had no confidence in the data to begin with, and you're dramatically confusing the system because you're making the mistake of promoting 2 or 3 products. You're running how many audiences? More than one? Why? There's no good reason. There's literally no actual data-based answer to support the concept of supporting multiple offers with ads, or supporting multiple audiences with ads, or supporting multiple things with the same conversion objective and diversifying your spend amongst all of them. Until you're in the 20, 30, 50, $100,000 a day range, you don't need to, and it's really making the problem worse. This is a super common issue. When people expect consistent results from inconsistent and low quality data. Raise your hand if you think Facebook is unreliable and inconsistent and I'm lacking confidence in delivering a consistent result. Are you blaming ad fatigue? Are you trying to say that I'm keeping Facebook dumb And I'm investing heavily in things that have no proven value with any real confidence. And when I get an inconsistent result that puts the business that I care about in jeopardy, puts food on the table and a roof over the head of my employees at jeopardy, it's the ad's fault. That's just wrong. This can also happen a lot when people duplicate ads and don't reference post IDs. And if anybody managing your ads, if you go in there and look at any ad, and when you hit edit, it says create ad instead of use existing post, fire that person immediately and start to focus on protecting your business, because you've been investing heavily and keeping the machine dumb, and the person you trust with the future of your business has no clue how to manage your account. The last thing I'll say is this. All of this information, first off, not debatable, objective fact, data-based, scientific method, inarguable when it comes to science and investment portfolio management. But we're also making a huge assumption, and I want to call myself out on it. If you're not cleaning up the comment section of your ads, you can absolutely see fatigue, because ultimately you're just letting bad interactions dominate the impression share. So you're investing more and more money to let more and more people see the extreme negative response to your advertising. It's like if you only let the worst Yelp reviews exist. If everything you brought out of your business was a 1 star, even though you have 99 5 stars, those 5 1 stars get all the attention. What are you investing in if you're not cleaning that up?